Hello YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I feel like being in the chill zone. I've been doing some of these videos lately, just chill zone videos, because frankly this is all I got in me. I'm exhausted and just have, steadily declining mental health and exhaustion, and this is all I got in me today. Anyway, I thought it'd be kind of fun just to go over maybe all of the books I actually have pre-ordered right now this minute. There's a lot of them. I pre-order books like on the reg. I don't know about you guys, but like when I know there's a book coming and I know I absolutely want it, like I pre-order it immediately just because I want to know it's coming to me. Like I don't have to like think about it, it's already coming and it makes me happy. So I'm just gonna talk about books because talking about books makes me happy. And I'm in the chill zone because I'm tired. But anyways, let's go over all the books I've pre-ordered so far. Okay, so let's start things off right. I'm just going straight off my iPad because I'm looking up everything I pre-ordered because there's so many that I don't really remember off the top of my head. But of course, I still have The Bride Bet by Tessa pre-ordered. Like, I had it pre-ordered for pretty much all of 2020, and now we're in 2021. And allegedly it's coming out this year. Like, it had a February 9th, release day, which I thought was going to be amazing because you know what? That's your girl's birthday. I was like, Tessa, you're gonna put a book out on my birthday for me? That is inaccurate. It is not coming out on my birthday no more because pandemics are taking everything from me. But anyway, The Bride Bet. Hopefully it's still coming out in 2021. I've had it pre-ordered probably the longest out of any book I've pre-ordered, but it's coming. Fingers crossed. I also pre-ordered Reaper of Souls by Rena Barron. This is the sequel to Kingdom of Souls, and I really liked that book. I read it, I think, 2019, early 2020, I forget which, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. So this series is so cool. It's kind of based in West African folklore traditions, and there's also witch doctors. And this girl, Ara, she is trying to, save the world from this demon king because you can't have him taken over. Bad things will happen. But the thing is, Ara doesn't actually have magic of her own. And in order to get magic in this world, there is a steep cost. Like, you can get magic, but it's gonna cost you something you're gonna miss. Like, some people, lose their teeth for a spell or what have you. They lose something. So magic has a definite cost in this world, and I just love the world building and the whole lore around the story. It was so good, so I'm so excited. Pre-ordered book 2, want to get back into this world and see what's gonna happen. Also pre-ordered, of course, is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the next book in the Last Hour series. This is kind of Edwardian, turn of the century era shadow hunters. They're doing their shadow hunting. They're basically they have angel blood and they hunt demons, but they're doing it in old-timey times, like the early 1900s, and I like it. Here's the thing with Cassandra Clare. Her books keep getting better, and especially for people who read the original 6 books that are modern era, and you're just oh boy, this was a lot. I feel you, I get it. It's probably my least favorite series from her, but the other offshoots, oh my gosh, they are so good. You have Infernal Devices, Victorian era, super dope trilogy, love it intensely. Then you have a sequel series, The Dark Artifices. Oh my gosh, my fave, I love it intensely. Their characters are so complex and interesting. Mind you, this is the demon world. There's demons and the fae creatures and angels and battles and big bad guys. It's the Shadowhunters world. It's a well-established thing. There's TV shows and movies and books galore. So I don't feel I need to describe what the series is about too much, but it's Edwardian shadow hunting. And I like these characters. They're all misfits doing misfitty things and killing demons. What more could I want? I'm also going to get The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the sequel to A Deadly Education, which was a very controversial book of 2020. I happen to really like it. It's up to you as a reader to decide how you feel about it. Personally, I took it as if it was a dark comedy, So I think if you go in expecting dark comedy where you're like, oh, that's like a grown joke, but it's supposed to be messed up, and that's why it's funny. Not because anyone thinks this is true. It's funny because it's messed up. Like, it's that kind of humor. It's kind of like dark Harry Potter. There's this school called the Scholomance. Wizardy kids get sent there. The main difference between the Scholomance and Hogwarts is that Hogwarts is full of butterbeer and house elves, and the Scholomance is full of flesh-eating monsters who will kill you at the drop of a hat. So it's just like an established fact of life here that you're probably going to get eaten by a monster. There's a lot of problems with the school. So it's a very violent place. And if you go in just knowing it's like, children go here and they're gonna get eaten by monsters. Obviously dark comedy. No one should think this is a good idea. So go in with that kind of mindset. I think you'll enjoy it. And personally, I really liked A Deadly Education. So I finished that book, immediately ordered the sequel. I gotta know what's gonna happen. I want to be back in that world. It's a dark comedy. I like it. I've also pre-ordered Waiting for a Scot Like You by Eva Leigh. This is the Union of the Rakes series. I think there might be more books in it still. It's historical romance, but also loosely based around like 80s teen movies, which sounds bizarre, but hear me out. Like, the themes of the book are themes that we've seen before, and I've heard Waiting for a Scot Like You takes on pretty heavily kind of from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So already I'm like, oh, so it's a historical smutty romance with Ferris Bueller's Day Off vibes. Why would you not want that? Like, I want it right now. That's why I've pre-ordered it. It sounds amazing. And so far, the other two books of the series have impressed me. Like, they're not, like, amazing. Like, I wouldn't give them 5 stars. But, like, I definitely enjoyed them. And I actually laughed out loud during the book. Laughs came out of my mouth. Not just a smile, full laughs. So I definitely think it's worth getting into. And I already have the next book pre-ordered because I finished the second book of the series and immediately pre-ordered the third. I'm also getting Grace and Glory by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the third book in the Harbinger series. I'm not sure if it's the finale of that series or not. It might be a trilogy, I'm not 100% sure, but oh boy, do I love a good JLA book. Oh my goodness gracious. Jennifer L. Armentrout writes like the campiest, like teen, new adult, what have you, fantasies, romances, sci-fi, etc. They have the drama of, angsty teen shows and all of the magic I could ever want. Like this series in particular, it deals with demons and angels and gargoyles. Gargoyles are a thing in this. You don't see gargoyles being the head of like a show since that, cartoon in the 90s, but they're like they're kind of like angel-y. And they fight demons, and they're gargoyles, and they turn to gargoyles, and they can turn into people, and they fight demons, and they have angst. And this is actually a spin-off series, so if you're looking at the whole world of books, this is like book 6. There's been a lot of books in the series, so I'm not going to get into everything, but I think you got an idea of what it's about. I cannot recommend enough if you just want like a juicy read. They're so juicy and so fun. I love them. Also on deck is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I pre-ordered it without even reading the blurb to this book because I loved Red, White, and Royal Blue so much. That was Casey McQuiston's debut, and it was chef's kiss amazing. So whatever this author's writing next, I want. Like, that's how good of a book it was. So this one is a FF rom-com and also like a dash of time travel. We're following August. She's cynical. She's in her 20s. She moved to New York. She's like not living her best life, but she's getting by, and she takes the subway every day. And every day, oh man, she sees Jane, the girl of her dreams, on this subway. So it's like the best part of her day. But the thing is, Jane is somehow lost in time. She is from the 1970s. I don't know how the time travel is gonna work in this situation, but I don't care because I like the other book by this author so much. I pre-ordered this without having done any research. That's just how I live my life. Just chaos all the time. I am so excited to finally have a copy of The Sisters of Reckoning by Charlotte Nicole Davis. I am so excited for this. This is the sequel to The Good Luck Girls, which I read in 2020, and honestly, underrated. It's so underrated. Please pick this book up. It's brilliant. It's like a fantasy western. There's people with magical abilities. There's also wraiths in the woods that will eat you. And it also deals with like found family, sisterhood, friendship. And you follow this group of girls. They escape from a brothel. Let's just not mince words. They're not willingly working at this brothel. They've been sold into this brothel. And they all get away for reasons I won't get into. And they're on the run. They're running for their lives, literally. And they're trying to get, to freedom. And along the way, they also become bank robbers. What? Yes, girl gang bank robbers, into it. But the thing that really like sets the series apart is like these female friendships and how intricate they are with each other, because they're all very different girls and they all fill very different roles to each other, but like it works. It is like a good cohesive unit. So I really, really loved the first book. It made my best books of 2020 list. So I was reading that one, and as soon as I saw the next book was coming out and available for pre-order, I pre-ordered the shit out of it. So I am really excited for this one. I need it. I need it now. Another series finale I have pre-ordered is Into the Dying Light by Katy Rose Poole. This is the end of the Age of Darkness series. At least I think it is. I think it's a trilogy. And oh boy, I love this series. It all starts with this book, There Will Come a Darkness, which seems like a bit of a dubious title. You're like, oh, that sounds cool, but it also doesn't, but then it sounds cool again. It goes in that circle pattern. But it's so good. It's one of the most complex, interesting, character studies I've ever read. It's one of my favorite series. I love it intensely. So basically, we're following 5 different POV characters, and they're all part of this, prophecy. There were prophets in this world, and they said, this big evil's gonna come and do bad things, and this is how it happens. And so these 5 people are inherently in this prophecy, but what parts they play is kind of in flux at sometimes. You're like, is this person this or is this person that? I don't understand. Things go crazy. I was obsessed with the book 1, There Will Come a Darkness, Chef's Kiss, amazing. I loved it intensely. One of my favorite books, 2019. The middle book of this series, As the Shadow Rises, came out in 2020. Also, fan-fucking-tastic. Loved it to bits. I'm not even going to get into everything that happens because honestly, it's too much. There's 5 POV characters, but I love them. And oh boy, some shit went down at the end of the previous book. Shit went down, and I needed the finale. As soon as I finished reading that, I immediately pre-ordered the finale. Not I wasn't gonna ever pre-order it. That wasn't on the table. It was just a matter of when I did it, and it was right after I finished reading that. I needed it. It's so, I love it so much. I'm so excited. I also ordered Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Andy Weir is the author of The Martian. That is a movie, a worldwide successful book. This one is kind of a similar setup. We have a lone astronaut again, except this time it's in space rather than on Mars. We're following Ryland, and he's basically on this mission to save the human race, and he doesn't remember that. He was asleep on this spaceship. He wakes up and he's like, oh no, everyone else is dead. Something has happened and I don't remember my name. So he's in a predicament. He's got to figure out why he's there, what he needs to do, and where he's going. He knows nothing. There's something wrong memory-wise. So it's a very unlikely hero just trying his best. But Andy Weir writes such good characters with that tone, and I love it. It's this sarcastic kind of quirky character that you really just root for so hard. I mean, I always love a good rascal character, a rogue with a heart of gold. Those are my yummy characters. I just want them all the time. And Andy Weir writes great rogues with a heart of gold. So I pre-ordered Project Hail Mary. I am really excited about it. I think it's gonna be really good. Also on deck, I have Second and First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Honestly, I pre-ordered this book without knowing what it was about. I just knew it was by Sally Thorne, and Sally Thorne has kind of become an auto by author for me. This is her 3rd book, I believe. The first book she put out was The Hating Game, which was very popular a few years ago. Then her 2nd book came out, 99% Mine. Hit or miss reviews. Honestly, I kind of liked it. If you haven't read anything by Sally Thorne, I actually recommend reading 99% Mine first and then reading The Hating Game, Because I feel like if you're going to compare 99% Mine to the Hating Game, you're not going to like it as much. Do it the other way. Like, you're going to like the Hating Game no matter what. 99% Mine is a bit of the problem child. Just read it first, trust me. This one is kind of enemies to lovers, forced proximity tropes. We're following Ruthie. She's like the property manager for this retirement home, villa, estate kind of thing. And she spends all of her time doing that, and it's like kind of a passion project. But the other side is she's like, you know, I'm also young and dateable age and like want to do things, but like doesn't have time because she's always doing stuff with the retirement community. One of those heroines. And then you have Teddy, you know, again, rogue, possibly with a heart of gold. He's kind of like a hot lava cake. I'm going to call it right now. Hot lava cake men are hot on the outside, but goo on the inside. I'm thinking he's going to be one of those. But anyway, he's kind of a bit of a wastrel. His father owns like the property, and he has just been, you know, sleeping his days away and just doing whatever he wants. Rich kid problems, whatever. And eventually his dad's like, okay, you need a place to stay. You can stay at one of the cottages at this retirement villa. You just have to like work to like stay there, like do some work. And he's like, I got this. I can screw in light bulbs. No problem. What he doesn't expect is that these are some feisty old ladies. And I feel like Ruthie's just sicking feisty old ladies on him. And it's going to be like maybe learning more about each other. Like maybe he's going to teach her to like have fun, and she's going to teach him how to be responsible. And of course there's going to be drama probably, but it's like a cool rom-com like trope, and it's going to be silly. And I like Sally Thorne. I bought it with no knowledge of what this was about. I just knew Sally Thorne was the author. So one of those. Also on deck is Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells. This is the next book in the Murderbot series. I just love Murderbot. I love Murderbot. It's so good. Murderbot is like every sarcastic, antisocial bone in your body became a murder robot. And we're following Murderbot as they, you know, go throughout the galaxy trying to find their place in it, because Murderbot is a murderbot, not human, but also appears human. So it's like this weird in-between space that they're taking up. And I mean, who doesn't like a sarcastic murder robot? Like, honestly, I should have to say nothing but sarcastic murder robot and you should already be in. Like, that sounds incredible. But yeah, this is the next book of that series. Pre-ordered it. Need it in my life. Ooh, okay. So I pre-ordered That Weekend by Kara Thomas. And it's another one of those books. I just saw Kara Thomas was finally putting out a new book. Pre-ordered it immediately. Didn't care what it was about. I knew I wanted it. Kara Thomas is one of those authors that is just flying under the radar, but like, trust me, so good. I've read everything by Kara Thomas so far, so this will be her 4th book, and ooh, I'm so in. She writes such like juicy murder mysteries. I love them. They're technically YA, mainly just because their characters in her stories tend to be teens, but a lot of the issues going on in these books are certainly adult. I feel like these are adult books that just happen to have teenagers in them. You know what I mean? They're very dark, and they're so twisty-turny. And I will tell you this right now. I've read 3 books by Kara Thomas, and I have not been able to pick the killer. I'm just as shocked as you are. I am like outstanding at picking the killer, and like she gets me every time. Or sometimes I had a good hunch who the killer was, and I'm like, I knew it. And then she throws another like curveball at the end, and I'm like, oh my gosh. This is kind of an amnesia type of story. We're following Clare. She goes to this lake house with a couple of her friends for like this weekend getaway thing. You know, they didn't tell their parents they're gonna go be cool in the woods. And nothing good ever happens in the woods, first of all. Like, let's be real. How many horror movies have you found or seen that happen in the woods? All of them. But anyway, Claire wakes up covered in blood and doesn't know what happened, so shit went down. And we're just like kind of trying to piece back together what happened that weekend through Claire's broken memory, so she's a bit of an unreliable narrator, and I'm sure there's going to just be twists and turns and like things I don't expect, and the ending is just gonna be a curveball, and I'm just gonna be like, So yeah, don't sleep on Kara Thomas. Check out some of her books; they're dope. I highly recommend. I'm taking a chance on Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas. I read Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas in 2020. Surprise hit! Like, I thought it was going to be good, but I was surprised by, like, how much I enjoyed, like, the prose and how the book was constructed. I think writing skills, A+, loved it. And also it dealt with, like, you know, Latin witchcraft, brujeria, and, like, ghosts, and, like, it had a lot of really cool stuff. I got into it. Also features a trans boy main character. Love. And then the next book coming out, not a sequel, completely new story. It's actually kind of like a dark Peter Pan story, and I was like, you had me at dark Peter Pan. I really, really like what Aiden Thomas did with, like, the dark kind of magics of Cemetery Boys, that I was like, I want to see what this author's gonna do next. Like, I just pre-ordered it just because I liked the first book. These books are unrelated, they're both standalones, but I was like, I want to see how this author handles dark Peter Pan. Like, I think it's gonna be really good. Fingers crossed, like, whatever, I'm calling it. I think it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be a hit. Just recently, I pre-ordered It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. And I just like Tessa Bailey rom-coms. They're fun and they're smutty. Ooh, this is like grade A smut, guys. Like, they're good. And this one's kind of like a Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com. And I love Schitt's Creek and I love rom-coms. Oh my gosh. Please put those together. We have Piper, Hollywood socialite kind of girl, gets into like this small town. Then she meets Brandon, gruff fisherman. How are these crazy kids gonna work it out? I don't care. Tessa Bailey will tell me a good, smuttily delightful story. So I pre-ordered it because I just found out about it. It's coming to me. I just pre-ordered this last book yesterday, but it is How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. This is the next book in the Runaway Royal series. Mind you, I have not even read the first book of that series, but I know I'm gonna want this one. This is kind of like a spin-off, kind of offshoot of the Reluctant Royal series, and oh man, did I love that series. It's so good. This one is a FF romance. It features like a long-lost princess type of story, a sexy investigator, and like, oh, and like grandmas with secrets. Like, honestly, I just saw Alyssa Cole was putting out more books, and I was going to buy them. I think that's a common theme with my pre-ordering game here, is just like, these are authors I've read before and I don't care what they're writing next, I'm going to read it. So I think that's what like my goal for 2021 is, apparently. Just books that I know I'm gonna want no matter what. Last book I have pre-ordered is, of course, A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I know. It... And like I've said this before, the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas is not my favorite Sarah J. Maas work. I'm much more of a Throne of Glass and House of Earth and Blood. That era, like that kind of side of Sarah J. Maas, like I love that. And then you have ACOTAR, which like I appreciate for like the smuttily delightfulness of it, but like it's not my favorite. I don't know. It just doesn't have that spark that those other series have that I really get into. I think maybe because, well, definitely House of Earth and Blood is an urban fantasy, but there's like aspects of Throne of Glass that come across as like urban fantasy, even though it's complete fantasy. But I really, really like those series. And anyway, like I'm not gonna read this, like hello. Like of course I'm gonna read it. Like do I expect it to be amazing? Obviously not. But like am I still gonna read it? Yes, I'm going to read it. You know, the heart wants what the heart wants. All right, so that's it. Those are all the books I currently have pre-ordered. There's a lot of them. But this was like a fun chill zone video. I'm already feeling better because I just like gushed about books for however long this video is. It's been like fun. I just love talking about books. So yeah, I don't know, I'm in a better mood now. Let me know in the comments down below, what's a book that you've pre-ordered for 2021? What is it? What's one of them? If you have multiples, let me know in the comments down below. Also, hey, side note, this Saturday, January 30th, over on Leanna from Leanna's Libraries channel, we're gonna have our Blades and Bodice Rippers Book Club live show. We are doing it on The Black Company by Glenn Cook. It will be on that channel that day, 11 a.m. Pacific time. It's going to be fun. We have special guests. We have Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany and Mara from Books Like Whoa also joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. So that's where I'm going to be on Saturday. So there won't be a video on this channel because I'm going to be live on another channel. So tune in. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to chatting with everybody. It's going to be a good time. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!